who cared about young people and who dedicated themselves to helping all of us grow up to be responsible adults. That is the spirit that we have to recreate in 2009 for the young people whose lives we touch. I see these as the best of times and the worst of times. There is much to be celebrated in the way of progress we have made, but there is much work that has to be done in order to help our young people overcome. More minority males, especially black males, are enrolling in college today, and more are graduating from college. But at the same time, more black males especially are ending up incarcerated and in prisons and in juvenile detention facilities. That is unacceptable. More black males are graduating from high school. More minority males are engaged in education, but more are dropping out of school without coming anywhere near completing their education. Too many black males and minority males especially believe that their whole future is grounded in becoming great athletes, and that they don't really need an education if they can go out and make a lot of money. I want the young people here today to understand there is a difference between being rich and being wealthy. Being rich is to have a lot of money, and most of the time not know what to do with it. But being wealthy, and I'm simplifying this, being wealthy is having an education which is the greatest asset. People can steal your money. They can never steal your mind. And why am I saying that? Sports Illustrated has come out with some very telling statistics. And if you hadn't picked up the most recent issue, I encourage you, young people, to pick it up. And you should not let a day go by when you don't read something in the news. Sports Illustrated tells us that 60% of successful NBA basketball players are broke after 5 years of retirement. 78% of black NFL players, and it's not just limited to black, it's across the board, 78% are either in bankruptcy or in trouble financially. Why is that? I made the point that money and assets and things that you control are not permanent. Education and understanding are. I'm also told that over 85% of athletes who've dedicated their lives to being athletes depend on somebody else to make investment decisions and help them manage their money. That is not independence, my friends. That is enslavement. So what is the difference between yesterday, yesteryear, when I came along, and today, where we're living? The difference is that there are more temptations today facing young men and young women of all ethnic groups than there were when I came along. When I came along, there was no television. There was radio. Today, young people are exposed to all of the great things of life and the glamour of television, and they are tempted to follow that road. When I came along, the closest thing to drugs was white lightning, liquor. But it was so bad that if you took one sip of White Lightning, you were cured. Today, young people are faced with making a decision on whether to try crack, cocaine, and drugs that we have not heard of today and become slaves. When I came along, there were a willingness for us to labor and to wait, to work hard. Today, young people are not willing to labor, and they find it difficult to be patient, invest, and wait. I understand the temptation to drop out of school. It took me 6 years to get an undergraduate degree because my school was so bad, I was not prepared for college. And we hear that word today a lot. We want to make sure our kids are college and career ready. And then I go to my legislature once in a while and I have legislators tell me everybody doesn't need a college education. But you see, that is not their choice. That is not my choice. You choose whether or not you need a college. And it's our job to make sure that college education is accessible so you can make that choice. Amen. So what is the community's responsibility? And I'm speeding up here because I'm told I can talk as long as I want, but at 9 o'clock y'all will leave. So what is the community's responsibility? It starts here. It starts with you. And many of you have already been engaged, so I'm not going to ignore the fact that you're here because you are committed and you've been engaged with doing something to support this effort. And so I want to recognize and celebrate the work of the 100 Black Men. That organization has dedicated itself to make sure that we work with Black youth. And I'm telling you, friends, it's tough to hear, but there is a crisis among Black males in the Black community. And we're going to have more that will ignore the opportunity to educate themselves and end up in prison where there is little or no hope. And so if we ignore the realities that are facing us, we will end up paying the price that is far too great for all of us in the future. So the 100 Black Men, I think, are doing a wonderful job. There are a number of organizations that involve people like yourselves who are community adults who care enough to make a difference. Boy Scout troops used to exist in our community, and we find it hard today to locate a Boy Scout troop that would teach us integrity, help us build up our character, and make us responsible individuals. Lack of male teachers in the classroom, lack of Black teachers in the classroom, especially who can relate to some of the specific characteristics of Black students, is causing a serious problem. Faith-based institutions today, especially churches, must step up to the plate and fill the void of giving support to students. I am very, very pleased with the work that is being done at Union Baptist Church in Durham. Union Baptist, with Reverend Hammond and Dr. James Johnson, have taken the bull by the horn, and they've decided it is their responsibility to create a school and make it possible for young kids to be able to get the nurturing they need in that school. But that's not the only church that's doing that. There are many across the state. But it's so much, I think, stronger because we have an educational institution, the community college system, that holds the greatest hope for anybody who wishes to engage in getting an education, to take the leadership and to open up their doors so that kids can get an education. So what is my challenge? My challenge has been to